Welcome to the SpeedStudio podcast, where art accelerates business, design drives performance, and we explore the culture of speed with athletes, business leaders, and creatives who define it. Welcome to the SpeedStudio podcast, episode 128. It's beautiful, sunny, 65 in Atlanta. It's a fake spring, or what did you call it earlier?
I forgot what it's called, but it's got an official name.
All right, fake spring.
Yeah.
We have Michael Garrison on the pod today.
Back-to-back weeks.
Back-to-back weeks, because we had a really, or I should say, he had a really exciting result yesterday at Santa Vall.
No, it was we.
But he suffered more than all of us to get.
Yeah.
So
hopefully it's back to back to back. Hopefully we just keep the results coming, and then we'll have a resident podcast.
Exactly. That's what people can expect this year. For every big result, Michael's coming on to tell us about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tell us why it was such an important. I mean, it was really a kickoff to the season. But walk us through why it was so important from a race perspective and even a partnership perspective.
Well, real quick, even for our listeners that aren't familiar, Santa Vall, how do they pronounce it? What do they say? Santa Vall. It's become, I think this year, and we kind of predicted this, you and I talked about, like, it's become the big kickoff event internationally for professional gravel racing. It's associated with the Traca. Everyone was there. Every big hitter was there, except Ian Boswell. I did mention that, Ian. We know you weren't there in the email response I got yesterday. I was like, oh yeah, Ian went there. But it was the big event. Everyone was there, and everyone comes out in their new kits and their new bikes, and to have a result there to start the season is huge. And Michael got fourth. I don't think we said that, so Michael got fourth.
Top 5 to start the year. The season is. I guess I'd say it as like to start the season like that, where, to an extent you expect you start the year and you want to build positive momentum. We didn't have crazy pressure on this race. We just wanted to go out and enjoy it and see where the fitness was at. And to start the year like that with the sensations that I had was really incredible. I had a really good winter and put in a lot of hard work early in the year and in the end of the year last year. And Santa Vall I've seen posts recently about how people consider it one of the hardest races of the year, even though it's the first one.
Yeah.
And gravel is really, this year it feels like it's on a whole new level. There's teams that I've never heard of with full setups and team cars and bikes on the roof and guys everywhere. And it's wild.
It felt more like professional road, like it's getting more into professional road racing. Is that the vibe it felt like?
Yeah, it gave a lot of the vibe of some of the UCI 0.1s and 0.2s that we did, where you have the few of the really big hitting teams like Specialized Off-Road. But then you have a lot of these other teams of guys that are former Euro, medium level Euro pros that have just kind of found their foray into gravel because there's significant resources there from bike brands wanting to sell product. And actually a lot of familiar names, guys that I used to race with in the Nations Cups and all over Europe. And yeah, the level, for me, it's the highest level race I think I've ever done on the dirt.
Yeah.
It's just, I look back at the results and Arnaud Demar and Thomas de Gent and Romain Bardet, and guys that have won stages of the Tour de France,
guys that you grew up watching on TV.
That now I'm talking to, and I'm there. And it was a wild week. We stayed. Basso did a big activation around the race with the launch of the new Palta 3, which, by the way, is the most incredible gravel bike I've ever ridden.
We'll come back to the bike. I want to ask you about the bike.
We'll come back to the bike.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll come back to the bike. So I'm curious. So you get there, and that was the last thing we said was okay, no pressure. This is first race, but to you, I did say, but kick ass. Having going into the race like that, is that a better feeling knowing okay, we're not expecting a lot, but we can just let it rip and see what happens?
Yeah. On the I think I can let it rip a little bit too much. Like right on the first day, I started like near the back, quickly made my way to the front with my crit racing finesse and immediately attacked. And I think in hindsight, I was like, actually a little bit better than I thought I was, and maybe could have had a better first day if I wasn't so eager to just like go crazy.
How quickly into the race did you attack? Like, we talking minutes?
No. It took me probably 5 minutes to get from back to front of, maybe 150 guys. And
yeah.
And I don't know. I just went. I didn't know what the dynamic was going to be, if like they were going to let an early break go.
Yeah.
Because of how crazy it was. And I just, I like to go, and most people who know me know that I just like kind of am guns blazing at times. And it can be a bit detrimental, but as the first race of the season, I was just like,
yeah,
let's go.
Yeah.
And I quickly came back. Matt Beers was on the front, and but through the whole first stage, even through the calamity of losing a bottle and stopping to pick it up real quick and having to jump off the bike and run because the mud was just that intense and the river crossings. But, on the big climbs of the day, like, I was really riding very well, passing guys on the biggest climbs of the day, which I think most people probably wouldn't expect from me.
Yeah.
And, my size. But I took nothing but positives from the first day, and, going into day 2, I was relaxed and confident and still nervous because it's gravel.
Yeah.
And it's, it is a bit nerve-wracking just with how much talent is there.
Yeah.
But day 2 was just a blast. It was.
And was it day 1 that you crashed? It was day 1 that you crashed.
Yeah.
And that's why you got the black eye.
Yep. Yeah. Straight into a tree. Not my fault. Not my fault. Guys are going kamikaze on random sections in a non-important part of the race.
Yeah.
And,
how do the races in Europe, the gravel races in Europe, compare to the gravel races here? Specifically, like the big ones, like Unbound and that stuff.
It is a whole different ball game. Like, there is no. Is
it more chaotic?
Comparison. It's more chaotic. There's way more riders. It's way more technical. You have to be a racer. I think a lot of US gravel, a lot of guys they're really good trainers and they're really good physically in terms of, the watts they can push. But here it feels more like a cross country mountain bike race where, you have to have years of experience of how the bike feels under you and how you can handle the bike. And I mean, it was basically like a 2 to 3 hour cyclocross race of constant accelerations and insane descents where you're just like throwing the bike left and right and constantly fighting for position into important parts of the course. And in the US, it's just like, who can hold the most watts on these straight farm roads for fucking 8 hours?
Yeah. I was thinking, like, because there's no neutral rollout on these gravel races in Europe. Is there? Was there a neutral? Yeah. So
it was maybe like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Like something super brief.
I always think about like the gravel races here. There's like these long rollout, these like long neutral.
Some of them, yeah.
Some of them, not all of them. Yeah. But I was wondering, like, does that even make a difference? Because the shorter the neutral, the crazier it's still really crazy when you just.
I think maybe the shorter the race too. Like the races there are way shorter than the ones here, so that leads to like more action, right?
Yeah, they're shorter, but just so intense. I mean, I finished yesterday, and mentally it felt like I had done a 4 to 5 hour race, and I looked down at my Wahoo, and the ride time was 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I was just like, "What?" Yeah. Like it literally blew my mind. I was like, because you're so locked in, like you have to be so focused and constant looking for traction and looking for lines and anticipating what's about to come. And it just demands every aspect of you that's not just, pedaling in a straight line.
Yeah. And the fields are bigger, and it seemed like there's more, because the fields are bigger, you have even more talent too. Like we just talked about the names we recognize, but then there's like all these other names I don't even recognize. And then I look them up and they're all like pro tour guys, or like guys that like have been racing in Europe professionally and now have decided they're going to race gravel. In the US, you got a much smaller group of talent versus there. I was like shocked by how many good racers there were in the race.
Yeah, there's like I said, there's so many guys that I think, were very, very good as under 23s, and either didn't quite have it to get signed to the World Tour, and now just like with how the market is, the level is identical, if not higher, because guys find a little bit more enjoyment in it, in the sort of quote unquote relaxed nature of gravel. It's absolutely nuts. Like it's very serious. Like it's very serious.
I read Mike Woods, he started this year racing gravel, and he wrote a Substack after day one about how shocked he was about how intense it was, but also how chaotic and how skilled all the riders were. He said, he was like, I'm not sure if I signed up for this. I thought I was like gonna retire and race gravel. He's like, this is insane. And he did not do well. And he was winning World Tour races last year.
I think it's probably a little bit of like guys that are so used to, not obviously World Tour racing is incredibly hard, but they're used to like the control of the World Tour. So like a lot of rules, a lot of support, a lot of, they do the same races year after year. They know exactly what to expect. For the most part, like obviously the courses on like a Tour de France or something will change. But even when you think of like the one day big stage races like Roubaix or Flanders, like it's always the same course. And so they kind of know what to expect. You know? And so I think probably going from this like level of like, I know what to expect, I know what's going to happen, to I don't know anything, is also a mental shock to them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And on the road, like you can, have a strong team, put your team on the front, you can put your guys into position, come into the hard climb. But like here in gravel, there's just so much going on that like if one guy on the team can't hold the line or doesn't have the technical ability in certain sections, like then he's going to get overtaken. And it's like the technicality it's 50-50 technicality, physicality, but like the technical ability is, if you don't have that, you're not there at all. Like at all. Like,
you're just gonna lose the wheel. Do you think growing up here and doing the chaotic group rides that we get criticized for, but that, and then crit racing as a teenager, which is insane. Do you think all that, and then you go into U23 and do all those insane races, UCI races in Italy? I remember you doing that. Is that, I mean, to me, it's like your skill set is built for that as a result of that kind of history of riding bikes coming up. Yeah.
I mean, when people ask me, they see me doing wheelies and stuff on the bike and kind of like my sort of finesse and technical ability on the bike, I always say, I grew up in Atlanta. I grew up riding BMX, riding around cars and jumping on sidewalks and doing group rides that are crazy. And that's made me the bike racer that I am, the one that can go from the back of the field to the front in 5 minutes and that's not afraid of it. And there is 100%, there's a somewhat of an ego aspect to like, today I think I'm okay to start at the back. The first day we had maybe 5 to 10 kilometers of road. So I was more comfortable like starting at the back. Day 2, we had 2K of road and went straight into single track, like a 5K, maybe 7% climb. So like day 2, I was at my start box earlier.
Leonardo sent me a message day 1 while you were racing. He's like, so Michael had to start in the very back, but he seemed very chill about it.
He said he seems okay.
I was like, I replied, I was like, he always starts in the back. It's fine.
I mean, it depends. It depends on this. It depends on the day. I mean, the profile day 2, I was like, all right, I gotta
get up there.
There's just not enough room. There's not enough time. And we go straight into like double track, straight uphill to crazy downhill to single track. Like,
What do you think it is? I was thinking about the other Americans like Keegan and those guys that were there. Do you think that, because it felt like they weren't really a factor at all, and like they are the factor in a lot of the American races, do you think it's just early season, like not peak fitness yet, or do you think it's just a shock to the system because they aren't used to, like you said, those more chaotic kind of Euro races?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I like to think of, I think of a race like this that you encounter so much adversity in a race this crazy. And I even think about like in our day-to-day lives in a big city, like there's so much going on out of our control that you kind of go with the flow of.
Yeah.
And I've definitely noticed some kind of similar qualities when I see other bike racers that maybe grew up. I was having a conversation with a guy about this last night who was from London, and like, we have to kind of move with the water. Like we have to go with the flow of like, oh, I got to get this done. It might suck a little bit, but like, I'm going to do it, versus like, I think a lot of guys grow up and so much is in their control, and like, they can do their perfect workouts every day. They can get everything done exactly how they need to. And it's, to an extent a bit easier. But like living in a big city, it's kind of like we thrive in the chaos and we're just so used to it. And I do kind of enjoy those days because I'm in my comfort zone where it's just like, this is crazy, but crazy is like super normal.
Yeah.
And, there's plenty of examples of people that like everything has to be perfect, and like they have their power chart lined out and what they want to hold and how they want to fuel and how to do everything. But like, that doesn't work. That doesn't work when there's so much going on and you have to constantly like adjust and react and overpower, your thoughts and keep moving forward. And races is crazy. And honestly, like, I love it. Like, this was one of the coolest races I think I've ever done. I honestly wish, like, day one, I wish the conditions weren't as awful. Maybe I wish I had some different tires on. There's plenty of things you could have said. But definitely going forward, like, I know this is a race that coming back to in the future, I can always kind of rely on as like, that's in my comfort zone because it's just
chaos.
It's literally a mountain bike race. It's a mountain bike race.
I was thinking about the fact that Sunday before you were doing an airport ride, which I'm sure guys would be like, that is crazy that you would do a giant crazy ass group ride 1 week before you do Santa Vall. So you have an airport ride, and then the Sunday later he's like top four. Like that's the craziness like you talk about. Like, you have to thrive in that here, like the way we ride.
Yeah.
I'm really wondering, are these races in Europe, because I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see how that affects the participation with the races here in the US, especially like the Lifetime Grand Prix, because we know that people that are now getting into the Lifetime Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's a Grand Prix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we know like people are kind of bored of doing the Grand Prix, but they feel like they have to because it's like,
it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if with some of these new races in Europe, if the money will start to go there because it is more chaotic, because it's less predictable. Like, I was even thinking, I'm like, the people should be using like Kashi or whatever to like bet on these things. But
I'm sure they are.
But you're not going to want to bet on something that's like the same guys win every single year.
Yeah.
Versus a race where like it's just up in the air because it's so crazy. I'm wondering if it'll just affect.
I think the European gravel races are going to continue to grow and thrive. I don't know if there's many U.S. I don't know. You tell me, Michael. Are many U.S. pros wanting to do that, or would they rather just do the Grand Prix? Obviously there's a cost.
It's interesting.
There's a cost.
It's interesting because there is, but I feel like there was more U.S. pros that started their season here last year that didn't come back.
Yeah,
interesting.
Which I think is an interesting statistic. I mean, besides Keegan, trying to think who the U.S. guys are. Stetina didn't race. Lexi didn't race. Dylan didn't race. Payson didn't race.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. To me, it's like the perfect way to start the year. It's like you can be here. You can get it. I mean, the specialized guys are here training. It's really demanding. I don't know. I'm not trying to be like an ass, but I think it's a perfect way to, and even just the training here, like there's so much technicality to how you can train off-road as well on the mountain bike trails and on the dirt. And
yeah, I think it's a cost thing. I think it's also like it's just a different type of racing. So is it worth me spending all this money to go to do that? Is probably what they're thinking. And I also don't think, like, I think about the average guy amateur that goes to the lifetime type races, like Big Sugar, they have no idea about these races. Like the guys I ride with, they don't know anything. Like they don't even know what Traca is. Like when I say like, we're doing Traca. So I don't know. I think we could see definitely, I think, a split, like the European races have a certain group of folks that go to them, pros, and then the same thing with Grand Prix.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if like even more mountain bike people will start transitioning over to the European gravel stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we had the whole Lee Coogan Basso team. It's Lee Coogan Basso.
Yeah, factory.
They raced this weekend. Like Leo Paez, I don't know how to say the last name, who was
Colombian
on the podium at Marathon Mountain Bike Worlds last year. Like, there is Fontana. There was a fair few number of really big mountain bike names racing here as well, which is kind of brings all the disciplines together into one.
I forgot to say, you didn't get to hear this yesterday, Nikki, but I was talking about this with Michael, like the difference between the two types of races. And Cole was in the background and he goes, it's like that song. It's like Dolly Parton. Like American races are like Dolly Parton. What? And then European races are, and everyone's like, wow, that song's really good. And then Whitney Houston comes along and sings the same song, and it's like, damn.
What?
He was talking about "I Will Always Love You."
Oh.
And exactly. Yeah. And Michael was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Oh,
but
okay.
That's how he compared it. Okay. Like Lifetime Grand Prix is Dolly Parton. Everyone loves that. But then Whitney Houston comes along.
It's a new level.
Yeah, it was a new level. So walk us through the actual day 2 race as quickly as you can. And maybe you talk about how you had to start. You had to be a little bit more attentive because the start went straight into single track. And I will say an hour, I checked on the live footage, an hour in, you guys still had a huge group. You had to, it was a water crossing. It looked like there were multiple water crossings, but you had to go like around the camera guy through the water crossing. And you could see the road, and the road was probably 2K long, and it was single file. Like as far as you could see for at least a kilometer of guys, and you were just like going through them all. Maybe kind of walk us through what happened there. I
mean, that's the thing. That's like a really good way to describe it is I'd say 80 to 90% of race time, both days accumulated, were single file because of the terrain.
Wow.
There's on the downhills, you're not riding anything other than single file. But yeah, day 2, back to day 1, I knew I was feeling really good because day 1 we had a big climb up L's. It was probably 15-minute climb, and I had problems in the mud, and I was flying by people. I probably passed 50 to 100 guys on this really big climb. And I went back and looked, and I looked at this segment, and I was like 15 seconds off Mads Schmidt, who won day 1 on the biggest climb of the day.
And I guess L's is the climb I was talking about that we did at Traca too. It was like a bitch of a climb. Yeah.
And Mads is European champ. I think he's the best gravel rider in the world right now. But he also really focuses on this race. So I was like, yeah, I'm going well. And I was confident going into day 2, but not thinking too much about it. There was a 5-ish K climb, 2K from the start. So they had certain start boxes, and we were in box 2.
How'd that get determined?
I have don't ask me. Don't ask me about it.
Okay.
And good start. Made my way up, probably top 20, not as far up as I wanted to be, but I started as best as I could in the grid. Full gas, bar day, straight to the front. Was pretty good at going uphill.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like really on yet because we have to line up so early, and so we stand there for like 15 minutes. And so I was climbing really well, passing people, but was maybe top 20 over the top of that. We had a crazy descent. And then from there, we were maybe 10 seconds off the front group of 10 and quickly got back there. And from there on, Matt Beers just sat on the front and just did his locomotive thing.
Yeah.
And which was actually pretty comfortable. Other than that, it was a pretty smooth day. I did miss my feed, so I did the whole race with one bottle.
Damn.
I had broken a cage off on day one, but day two was only 80K. So I was like, I'll just do one bottle, take a bottle at the feed. But I missed it because they put the feed zone in like the part of the course that we're going like 50K an hour on pavement. Like we're literally like
wow,
hauling ass.
That's scary.
And
was it Leo trying to feed you?
It was Manuel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw Leo fed you the first day. He almost ripped his arm off whenever you went by.
Yeah.
He gave that duty to Manuel for second day.
Yeah, he's like, I'm out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My one problem day one was like on this one downhill. I was basically sitting fourth wheel all day behind Matt Beers, Mads Wertz, and Bardet. And I just kept myself like right there. People were kind of fighting for the wheel, but I can hold a wheel better than the other guys.
Yeah. Well, you're bigger than most of them.
Yeah, exactly. But on this one downhill, there's ruts all over the place on all these little roads. And I kind of was just like not off balance, but sort of, and didn't brake early enough. And I had to like kind of go straight off into this gutter. And so then like the whole group comes by me, and we probably had 40-ish then.
Yeah.
And I quickly get back on.
So did you have to stop?
Back on the group, and
did you have to stop entirely?
I had to stop.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we were on this tiny little road and chasing back on, but I wasn't worried. My legs very good. And
so is that when I saw the video of you chasing through?
Yeah. So the moto was at the back.
Yeah.
And that was why I was at the back, was like we go through this river crossing, the camera moto's at the back of the group. I pass him. Maybe a little nervous, but chasing back on. But then it's funny because then we come through the feed zone, and I'm like 10 seconds off the group, and I'm like, oh fuck, the Basso guys are going to be like thinking like I got dropped or something. But I'm like, actually, I feel good.
It's funny that's what you're thinking of.
Yeah, I'm like,
you roll by, you're like, I didn't get dropped.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going back.
Well, what I was even thinking, like when I saw that, I mean, and you guys see the video, but it's like you can see riders for so long, and Michael's just like, just riding through everyone. I feel like most guys would be like, oh, well, my day, that's my day. Like, I might as well just settle. But you're like, no, I got to get back to the front.
I'm coming back. And I got right back to the group and put myself right back in my spot. It took me a little bit.
Yeah.
Hammering on these little bike paths and single track. And then from there on, it was pretty smooth sailing. It was nice to look back maybe 20 minutes after reestablishing myself there and seeing the group had come down to like maybe 20, 25.
Yeah.
And that's when things start to get like more exciting, is they're like, oh, like the groups get smaller. Like, cause you're always in your mind of like something could happen. That's the thing with gravel, is you're like always like, fuck, I could flat. Anything can happen. And when the group gets smaller, that safe side of your brain is like, oh, if something does happen, then I can still like, maybe like ride a top 20, top 30. And I had attacked the group early on before that problem, and something felt like loose. I didn't know if it was my crank. I didn't know what it was. And I was like nervous. In hindsight, it was my cleat had started to come loose, and it was like rocking back and forth along the cutouts.
Yeah.
But I attacked maybe 15K to go on a road section. The run-in on stage 2 was identical to stage 1, so it was super familiar because we had done it. The last 20K were the same.
So you attacked on the road?
Mm-hmm. I was just like, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Crazy downhill, but then once we get into 10K to go, it was all pretty smooth. Around 5-ish to go, we hit this really steep pavement section that's really short. Bardet attacked there. I felt super good, responded. And then I think I actually countered, but everyone was just like on.
Real quick, when you attacked the time before that on the road, do guys chase? Like, do guys know who you are?
Yeah.
Do they know who you are?
No. I don't know.
I mean, obviously Beers and those guys do, but the Euros.
Yeah. I mean, I Beers knows who I am, but yeah, it'd be interesting to hear I guess he knows I'm good now.
I mean, you got second in gravel nationals. I think more people know than you're giving credit for.
Yeah.
Okay, so they chase, and then Bardet goes, you counter.
And then kind of into the final 2Ks, we had this, we come into this park and we do this crazy left, right, left, and then the finish line's right there.
Yeah, I saw it.
And I knew I needed to be
basically, let me paint a picture so basically you guys were on the road and there was maybe 15 of you. It looked like it was coming down to it was the end of a road race is what it looked like. And then you did a left into single track. So it was almost like where you were positioned going to that single track was going to determine where you're going to end up, because it would happen so fast that they'd come out of the single track. Then it was a quick left and the finish line was there. So that basically you had to it looked like that was the finish before the finish, the way you guys were.
Yeah, totally.
Jockeying.
I knew that I needed to be right at the front. We came off a gravel sector, had 50 meters of road before the left into the single track. And we were probably at 300 meters to go with 4 turns. Yeah.
So where were you in that? What wheel were you into the single track?
Fourth.
Okay.
Third.
Okay.
But there was a team that was running a full lead out, which is cool.
What team?
That was the guy that I have no idea. The guy that won.
Oh, the green jerseys. Yeah, I did notice they had a couple of guys. Yeah.
And I was basically pushing and shoving with the tutor guy into two turns to go. But he actually kind of bodied me pretty good. And just it doesn't haunt me because I'm still so happy with the result. But there is 10% of me that haunts me a little bit.
I can see that. I can see you're regretting a little bit.
I mean, I think I really appreciate it because going forward, I'm even more confident in myself going into, what could be a similar finish in the future. Because there is, cycling is a sport that has a lot of anxiety around it of you got to go first and you got to know that you're going first and you don't have to be second wheel and, wait for someone else to go and then come around him.
The guy that won, was he the first guy around the corner?
For sure.
Yeah. And some guy ate it right in front of you. Who was that?
Mm-hmm. No idea.
So you didn't see the finish, but literally they come around the corner and some guy just literally eats it into obviously not a crit racer, but he just
sent it into the barricades
entirely.
Yeah. And I was, rolling through fourth. I think just the feeling of, having so many awesome people there from Basso and people that I know and how excited they were as well.
Oh yeah.
And there's a wave of relief, but also there's no feeling like winning, but especially in gravel when there's so much adversity that can happen.
Yeah.
Just coming through, finishing with the front group, it's it's the coolest thing.
It's because the stars have to align. Stars have to align.
Yeah, I also feel like in gravel, of course the win is the biggest. A win's a win, but I do feel like people know how much goes on within the race. That a top 10 and a top 20, especially at a race like this, is also people see the value in those further down numbers just as much to an extent. And damn, I wish I did that little tiny thing differently, but I take so much confidence from it, and I'm I've been over the moon, and having spent the week there at Casa Basso, which can talk about with the whole family and all the staff and all the other riders. And it was just like, you know, talking to Leo on the phone after and having a bike launched and, you know, putting that bike in the top 5 at one of Europe's biggest gravel races is just like,
I mean, it could not have gone, the only way it could have gone better is if you'd won. That's
if I won.
Right. So it, like, from their perspective, I mean, you made the cherry on top. The weekend was already awesome. And then you launch a new bike and then your guy gets top 5 at Santa Vall.
This also makes Jackie Tyson look really good for her predictions too.
Yeah. Jackie said you're one to watch.
So
shout out to Jackie, Cycling News.
Exactly. It was so funny because we were exhausted on Saturday just from like running and riding up in the mountains, and so we went to bed, and I had set an alarm for like 6, or my alarm's always set for 6 a.m. Somehow it didn't go, either we slept through it or didn't go off, so I like wake up, maybe it was like 7. And I go downstairs, get Camille, and then I open my phone, and it's like your interview. And I was like, wait, what? And so I like slam my phone down. I run up the stairs. Chad's still sleeping, and I wasn't going to wake him up. But I was like, Michael got 4th. Michael got 4th.
Every time I've slept through a race, he has a big result. So I'm just going to start sleeping through races.
I was so confused because I was just like, wait, it's already over? Like, you know, because it's so early in the morning.
Yeah.
But so excited. It was.
Yeah. I mean, what a great feeling to know that you're able to perform.
Yeah. I mean,
like that.
I think it's especially surreal to me because like, I think I have a whole community of people that like just see me as a crit racer.
Yeah.
And I still, I mean, like in the interview, I'm not trying to say like I am him or like whatever, but it's like, I've always seen these gravel guys as like, you know, I'm the guy that like does the crits and does the gravel and like, but I wasn't quite at the level that like, you know, I wanted to be at. And now it's like, I think I'm still kind of adjusting to like, I can really, you know, win these big races. And it's funny because riding at I don't know if that makes any sense, but like having the fitness for the hard parts, riding at the front is way easier than like riding in like 40th because when you're riding in 40th, it's just like mayhem. But you ride at the front and like the hard parts are hard. Everyone's more calm. They're like smooth, like it's safer. They're rotating. You don't have all these dumbass guys like doing these stupid things like putting you in trees. Didn't get put into any trees on Sunday.
Well, it's got to be a cool feeling too, like we talked about. It's like before it's always like you're trying to establish yourself to be those guys, and then you said this weekend you're like I am those guys now, like I belong here at the front with these guys and I can perform. Like that's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part, even in the racing, is like, I have to be like, I'm going to be the one to sit 4th wheel. Like, you know, I'm not going to beef with Roman Bardet. Like, I'm not going to try to like take his wheel from Specialized, but like from all these other guys, like this is my spot. Yeah. And like, and it's funny because like I sat 4th wheel all day and then I like finished in 4th, but like, you have to race and you have to be the one that's like, I am taking that spot, even if this other guy wants to think I'm a jackass or like whatever, because it's like, that's mine. Like, and I'm taking that because I'm better. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's a very, if you acted like that off the bike, everyone would think on the bike, everyone thinks you're a jackass too, but like that's racing. Yeah. So, I'm definitely not the nicest guy in racing. Well, it depends. Like, you know, there's times where you're like, oh yeah, you go ahead, like no problem. Yeah. But you know, the guy that put me in the tree, like I yelled all types of words at him. And last night he was at my friend's and we had a beer and was like, like we were in the race and you know, we're all good now. So
that's good.
Hopefully no one has any cameras at certain points, but
that's part of it.
I think it's probably a pretty common thing for athletes that don't don't take the traditional path to get to a certain point, to have that moment where you're like, oh, okay, now I'm kind of in this inner circle. Because it does feel like, and not just in cycling, like in everything, there's always kind of that inner circle, that traditional way to get somewhere, whether it's, oh, I went to this school and I have this pedigree, which gets me this job. Like in the business world, it's the same thing. Like someone hears you went to Harvard and they're like, oh my gosh, but someone hears you went to FSU, you might not have the same opportunities at first. Yeah. And so it's kind of like you didn't go necessarily the traditional, let's call it like the Harvard route to this gravel thing or to this road racing thing. And so people don't give you that, they don't give you the benefit of the doubt, like right off the bat. But now you've proven yourself, like, I didn't take the traditional way, but I'm just as strong, I'm just as tactical, I'm just as skilled. Yeah. And so I can empathize, I can understand what you're saying. It doesn't sound cocky. It's more of just like, I'm here, I'm proving myself, and you deserve that. Like, you deserve that respect especially after this weekend. And
what's really wild is just kind of seeing, the first 2 years of this program was just, we were working so hard. And like, finally, as we got towards like the second half of last year, the results started to really speak louder. The first year, like top 5 at US Pro in the TT, but like people didn't really feel like people were really kind of taking notice. But then like you keep on digging, and, from Gravel Nationals last year to this, but now it's like, it's wild how the growth from the brand connections and the sponsors and the communities, it's like, it almost feels like it's like exponential now. Even just like, after the result yesterday, and like Cask is like, oh, can we get these pictures? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I didn't take them. Or then like there's the other people. And it's just like, it's really exciting. And again, all the partners and all the brands that like we really align with, feel like a big shout out that has kind of changed the game for me this year is the nutrition. We were talking about that a bit yesterday, Nikki, but like gravel is all about nutrition. And now with CARBS Fuel, I've kind of didn't really realize how good I could feel in racing.
Yeah. You've never, I don't remember you ever being like, the nutrition I'm using is exactly what I need. Like, there's always been an issue until this partnership with CARBS Fuel, Aaron and Gabe, like their product, not only you, but everyone on our team, Nikki, everyone is like blown away by what it is.
Yeah. I'm pretty jaded towards a lot of products, because a lot of times it's like, is it just marketing? Is it, I don't know. I've never really found a product, because I know everyone loves Morton, and obviously no shade to them, because I do believe that they have a great product. It's never worked for me personally. And so after hearing all these people like, oh, Morton's the best thing, like it's, and then it not working for me, I was like, man, maybe I'm just like, maybe there's just something wrong with my performance, or like the way, but then getting carbs and trying it for the first time, I was definitely like, okay, is this really going to be any different? And I think my 20 miler or whatever was when I used I had like 550 gram carbs. I had a lot.
I felt 9 yesterday.
Yeah, I felt amazing, and I was like, it was such a relief to not feel like for the first time like I was bonking. And I don't know. I'm a big fan for sure of carbs.
I've always loved like a strong drink mix. Yeah. But like with carbs, having the sodium in there as well, like, and then only needing to top it off with 1 to 2 gels per hour. It's just like, it's just so easy. Like I'm not like, this one has this much and this one has that much. It's just like, there's one drink mix with 1 gel. Have you had the caffeine gel?
Yes. I love the caffeine.
I had one yesterday with like an hour to go.
I love the caffeine gel. I didn't realize how many. It says right on the front 100 milligrams of caffeine, but I didn't think about it the first time. So I took like 3 on a run, and I was like, oh, okay, that's like chugging a Celsius. So yeah, I like the combination of the salt, the regular, and the.
So what did you have in your bottle? Like, walk us through. Like, what did you have in your bottle? And then you said you took 9 gels, and this is all within a 2 hour?
No, I didn't. Yesterday was a 9. I think Saturday was 8 or 9.
Okay, it was longer.
It was 3.
Yeah. So yesterday, what'd you have?
I do 3 scoops per bottle, which is 75 grams per bottle, which yesterday I only had 1, but wasn't too long. And then 75 grams per bottle when racing. I think these are in a 500 ml bottle. So if I did a 750, I'd probably do 4 scoops.
Okay.
I like a stiff mix. And then generally I am pretty good in my mind of I'm not oh, the clock strikes 30 minutes, time for a gel. I'm pretty good at going off instinct. Oftentimes if there's a hard climb and it's at an easier moment, I'll just be I'll take a gel now. And then I just kind of have this sort of subconscious clock. But it's I'm probably hitting around 120 to 150 grams per hour between the 250 gram gels plus the 75 gram bottle.
Wow.
And then a caffeine gel with an hour to go, which got me. I had never had one. Got me going.
It's rocket fuel.
No, I finished the race yesterday, and I need to get a power meter on my gravel bike because everyone's asking me my numbers, and I'm I don't have a power meter. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's probably really high, but I finished a race, and I was I could keep riding, which is a crazy thing to finish a race when and that's how you fueled right, is you're not running on fumes. You feel like you can keep ticking because your body has what it needs. We also ate pasta for about every meal every day. So there was plenty of there was glycogen, but no, the in race stuff is it is truly I have never been I don't want to change anything about my nutrition strategy, and that's the most refreshing feeling as an athlete of
Yeah. Let's talk about the bike then. So I know you mentioned earlier we haven't really gotten a full breakdown of the Palta 3, especially now you've raced it at speed. You also had brand new unreleased tune wheels. I think we want to talk about this too. But let's talk about the bike. What do you notice about it? What's the difference between the Palta 2 to the Palta 3? How does it feel as a race bike? I know it's Basso, we've positioned as a bike that can do everything. Obviously, we see now that it can race at the front of the hardest gravel race in the world. Walk us through that.
The new bike is, I had built it in the US, but the bike is so brand new that, they build the bike small, medium, large, XL. I ride an XL. And so we just got the frame, just got it built. And I hadn't even ridden it in full kit. I'd ridden it in casual shoes. And we went out on Wednesday and reconned the first sort of 50K of stage 1, which is insane, super technical.
Yeah.
Right off the gun, the bike is stiffer. We all, even with Greg, he's oh yeah, it feels stiffer. It accelerates faster.
That's Greg Van Avermaet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just winner of just about every big classic in the world.
Yeah. So it's stiffer.
The biggest thing for me is this bike going downhill is people know how I ride a bike downhills or in crits. And I have never felt so planted and so comfortable, which is crazy just to be it feels good going down, but
yeah, it's important.
It's very important. And it was wild. Just immediately, Leo was we need to put a camera on you, because we're jumping and throwing whips and putting the foot out in these crazy turns. Yeah, it's just, I don't know if it's I can feel that the chainstays are pretty short, the rear wheel's pretty tied in at the back of the bike.
Yeah.
But it's just it's so planted. And then I feel, for me, what I love about Basso is the geometries, how just comfortable and balanced I feel on the bike.
Yeah.
And
you're running the Fuga cockpit this year.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that feel racing the Fuga cockpit versus you were doing more traditional last year?
Phenomenal. Like everything about the bike. I mean, I rode the bike to the top 5 in a race that I felt like I could have won, and I had 0 complaints. Like I can run.
What was the gearing you were running?
I run a 48 up front, and then we're on the SRAM Axis Explorer. Crazy light, especially with these new tunes that are a very light wheel set with they're so wide. Like I didn't have rim tape. Well, we had rim tape, and it was from a mountain bike wheel, and it fit like in the tune wheels.
I think it's 30 internal.
Yeah.
Right? That's so wide.
Yeah.
So does that just makes the tire a bit wider and more compliant?
Yes, and then technically, if you want to get super specific, like with a wider tire and a wider rim, the airflow, you don't have this like bubble and then like a narrow rim.
Right.
So technically, it's more aero as well.
And those are the tune. What are they? They're coming out, I think, later this month.
We can't say the name.
Oh, we can't say the name. Okay.
No,
so there is a new tune wheel coming out. We won't say the name, but it's badass.
Email.
First time they've ever been raced, they go top 5 at Santa Vall.
Yeah, well, I didn't. So we just got them, but there was so much going on. We were staying just outside of town and I didn't have a car, and we couldn't get them from where they were delivered. And so I raced the other prototype, I think, on Saturday, and then the final prototype on Sunday, and Sunday's the result. So
there you go. Walk us through the rest of your setup. So you had, I think you're rocking the Utopia helmet. Is that what you chose to race it?
Utopia. Sunday we also wore the white bibs from Corre, which may never be white again because the Spanish mud is they've been through the wash once and they are not looking so hot. So after this, I'm going to go try to find some crazy whitening powder.
And that's so everyone knows, that's the gold race suit that you were rocking. Yeah. Okay, listeners, bringing us back for the first time ever, we ran out of space on a disc. We are not sure where we left off, but we did want to get right back to really what we're talking about is our partners and how fortunate we are and how our strategy around partnership, it really is focused on performance, values, and philosophy. And it's been 3 years in the making, and I think this result is a good example of finding the right partners to help us build something special. And like you were saying, Michael, we want to have the best stuff, the best equipment, so you can compete with the other guys that also have the best equipment whenever you're racing shoulder to shoulder with them.
I think what's been the coolest though is the people that have come up to me this weekend and been like, what you guys are doing is so unique and it's so different and it's so refreshing to see in sport. And that is no other.
Yeah.
Because, everyone else is sort of, and they're doing their own things, but it's not, I don't know, we're kind of crazy with what we want to do and how big we want to build and all the mediums that we want to storytell, but also, I don't know, we're all just super passionate people around making really awesome stuff in all levels.
Yeah, Nikki and I were talking about that yesterday too, how so many of these teams or sponsors, it feels very passing. It's this is what we're doing this year, and they'll cobble together a team and see if it works. Whereas we really have our eye on a long-term vision, right? And finding sponsors and partners that also agree with that, because it's relationships, it's long-term relationships, and it's business. I mean, really what it is, and you want to establish those because I think the gravel world and cycling world in particular doesn't necessarily think that way. Hasn't thought that way traditionally. It's this is the year.
I think the biggest difference too is you and I have, like, how many times, so we've had our agency, creative agency business for over a decade now. And so many people over the past 10 years who work in corporate will say, oh, I want to go out on my own. I want to start my own agency. I want to start my own consultancy. And I would say 99.9% of those people never actually do it, or they do it for a year and then they give up and they go back to the corporate world. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine. But I think that the lessons that we've learned in building a business, which honestly, like, it's just sticking to it. It's just sticking to what your dream is, what your goal is, what the end point like is in the future, and not giving up when it gets a little bit difficult or when it gets really difficult. And so I think those business lessons that you and I have learned, and hopefully are, passing off to you and even Cole a little bit, is that the more you just kind of stick to it and really prioritize, I know what I'm doing. I know the work that needs to be done. Even if other people don't understand it, I don't care. I'm going to keep doing it anyways. That's how that's the differentiator. That's how you build this program. And that's why, to your point, Chad, like, a lot of times people be like, oh, I want to start a cycling team. And, I want, and they do. And then after a year, when the results or the money or everything that they thought should have happened in 1 year doesn't, they kind of throw it in the trash. Or maybe, and it's just, I've never seen a team actually just come out of nowhere and after a year everything's perfect. So it's just not giving up.
And also, just like, I think what's so special about this is like how it's not like you guys are telling Cole and I like what to do, and like there's this balance of like, with Cole coming on, we're like, what races do you want to do, and you guys giving me the freedom to be like, we can start at Santa Vall and then we can stay here for training. And like, it's not like there's so many guys that's like, oh, my director, like, I have to do this. And like, they're really, they might think they're enjoying it, but like having that balance of constructiveness between us all as a family that, creates empowerment from all levels, and being able to be creative together and approach it like as one conglomerate rather than having these like weird like tiers of like, and it's like the coolest thing. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
Well, and it makes me think like we have a client on the corporate side who they have probably the best company culture that we've ever seen across, in the past decade of working with different clients. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that leadership really trusts their people to get things done. Yep. And so, I feel like that's also rubbed off on us, like being able to see how a lot of other business leaders run their company in a very successful way, which, to your point, a lot of times is just trust people to do what their job is. Mm-hmm. If they're really good at their job, just trust them to get it done and give them some autonomy to make the decisions themselves that they know are best for them and in turn best for the role and best for the company. And so I think, that's a big part of it too, is the culture of a team. And obviously the more people you add to a team, the more difficult it is to control for culture. Yeah. But when teams are thinking about, oh, I want to build, how do I make it really successful? It starts with culture. And so if you have a leader of a team or a team director that just doesn't view culture as important, 9 times out of 10, it's just not going to exist in a few years.
Yeah. And with all our, we're very authentic, and like with all the mediums, like we're going to storytell no matter what. We're going to be creative no matter what. We're like, whether the race goes good or whether the race goes bad. It's a bit more exciting if the race goes good, but like it's the same thing. Cole had some problems with his knee this weekend and it's early season, and it's like, bro, there's no problem. Like, we trust you and we know what you're capable of. And we're not like, there's been directors that like have doubted him and think it's like in his head and all this bullshit. And it's like, we all like, we love you. We're gonna, we trust you. We like, whatever you need, we want to help you. And like, it's so cool to just like me be myself, let him be his self. And like, I've seen over the last 2 years, like, that's how you create a good athlete. And it's wild coming back to Girona, where these people, all these racers, live in these tiny little bubbles where it's like, it's not miserable, but I'm like, guys, like, there's so much else out there also that you can also do and work hard at, and also be a good bike racer and not live in this weird, anxious like misery where also like everything here is so easy. I mean, that could be a whole.
Do you imagine like just dropping them in downtown Atlanta? Like here, like, live here and train here and see what happens. That'd be pretty funny.
It's actually super wild being back here with how much I've learned through the last 2 years of being back in the U.S. and really growing on the creative side and moving away from the really type A numbers and watts and all that, because I don't really operate as much there. I do, but nowhere near the same extent. And I'm like,
obsessive.
That was really special. Is like being with Basso with the other ambassadors who like, they don't give a shit about how much watts you push.
Yeah. Like
no one cares. And I don't care either. Like, and here where so many people are it's just like, cycling. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, can we talk about something else, please? Like, do you guys have any other interests? I don't know. It's
what was the ambassador's reaction when they came back from their ride and they're like, oh, hey, Michael, how'd you do? And you're like, fourth.
It was so special. Like, I mean, many people had already left for the airport, but like we had the whole Casa Basso group chat, and just like, it was so cool because there's, everyone is their own unique self as an ambassador, rather than just like a racer on a team, where can be this like weird inner competitive energies, and they're all doing their own thing in their own ways, and they're all creatives in their own ways. They're more creatives than they are, but they're just as much creatives as they are athletes. And it was just a really raw, like organic, care, family energy, and kind of like pride in each other. And it was like incredibly special. I mean, without a doubt, it was the most enjoyable race as like a large community, as I think of it as like a big team, but not just racers and not those weird, like, what's that guy eating or what's that? And then you're all like, everyone was just having a good time. And then we almost win a bike race. Like, it's not that hard. Just literally just care for each other and have fun. And
well, the almost winning bike race is hard, but the rest.
Yeah.
All right, so now you and Cole are going to do a couple of road races there in Spain. Is that the plan?
Yeah, there is a gravel race this weekend. It's like a couple hours away. That's like a 50%, maybe more like a 30%. That I just heard about, and then a week from Saturday, there's some smaller, they'd be like training road races in near Barcelona. But then
nice.
We go to Strada Bianca, but the next big target is for sure Mid-South.
Yeah. Back here in the US, Oklahoma, Mid-South.
Yeah. Back on the flat, straight roads.
Yeah. So. All right. Okay. Cool. Well, hopefully we'll get to do another one of these soon.
Yeah. This has been great.
Yeah. This was awesome.
We're really proud of you, and shout out to all the sponsors that make this possible, because we couldn't do it without the belief, especially this year. Mm-hmm. The sponsors really stepped up, like we've said, and I think the belief in the program and the belief in you and Cole, it's huge, because it's a proof point that if we just keep at this, it'll continue.
And not just our industry sponsors, but Apto Solutions, Snapcare, Smoke Dog Enterprises. I mean, that's why this is able to happen, right?
People keep asking where Smoke Dog Barbecue is.
Yeah. Leo asked about it this weekend. He's like, that's the coolest sponsor. I was like, yeah, you should come try it.
Yeah.
Best restaurant in Atlanta.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
It's also,
I was just going to say, we appreciate everyone on the team as well, because what most people, I don't know, if you've listened to this podcast, you already know this, but what most people don't realize is that all of the membership dues to the team go directly back to the program as well. So every single person on the team is a sponsor. Yeah. And I think that makes it really, really special. And you can see it in the WhatsApp group. It's blowing up every time there's a race. Everyone's watching a live stream if that's possible. So it's, and we even had, a new member join after this weekend as well. So we're hoping that, you know, the more attention it'll just continue to build.
Yeah. And no, you cannot buy our kit, anyone. But if you want to be a part of the family then
talk to us. We can figure that out.
Talk to us.
Yeah. Okay.
But cool. Yeah, it just gets me excited for the future of being able to do events like this and grow with even more people and like, you know, having some members race at Santa Vall and getting to host experiences just like I had, you know, for our communities as well. So
awesome.
It's been a great time.
All right. Well, great work. Yep. Keep it up. Keep kicking ass. And we'll have another one soon.
Exactly.
Yeah.